So we got here, it's technically day one, I guess. We got here yesterday at like 7 o'clock, got up on this ridge, and we've just been kind of watching this whole creek bottom here, and there's a bunch of little fingers that come down into it. So I hunt spring bears. What I do is I get up high, I look for spots that I think might have bears, where I've read bears live, where I've watched videos of people killing bears, that kind of country. I pick those apart, then I look at all the areas that don't make any sense. And more than likely, one of those two will turn up a bear. Probably the one that doesn't make any sense or that's a real bugger to get to. Matt, who's filming this right now, actually spotted with his naked eye a bear coming down this saddle. So the very first night, Matt and I had about an hour and a half to glass. Right at last light, we were just starting to get things packed back up. Matt saw a bear with his naked eye going across the canyon, ran down to the point where we thought we could get a shot at him, got the gun out, ranged him. I think he was just under 600 yards. The turret spun on the scope, got all set up to shoot him. He went over top of the ridge. So after coming off of a year of not seeing a single black bear, seeing a bear in the first night was awesome. We had the turret spun and the safety off. It was super close. He kind of go over this little lip here and got down into the timber, and we're assuming down into this creek bottom where it's screaming. The most predictably unpredictable animal I have ever hunted in my life. Bears will do what bears want to do. You can look at a green hillside and say, yep, that looks perfect for bears. I expect to see one there tonight. It's got a river going below it, there's rocks above it, there's dense timber, and one doesn't show up there. Go 3 miles this way in a place that you never expect to see a bear, and barren shale rock and burn, there's the bear. Bears are 100% bears. We're just kind of chilling this morning and watching this country again. We haven't even explored up this ridge going into the canyon this way. We're just kind of taking it slow and letting our glass walk for us a little bit today, and pretty excited though. It's really, really, really good to see a bear on the first day because it keeps your spirits up the rest of the morning the next day. And this is my 3rd year hunting bears in Montana without filling a tag yet. All 3 of those years have been in Montana, and I can't tell you how many different trailheads and mountain ranges I've seen just chasing bears. I almost wonder where it's all just really nasty rock face. There's a little saddle in that, and it's right perfectly in line with that ridge that he walked down, or that saddle that he walked down right here. I bet he's living in this hole on this side right here. Dude, I almost bet it. There's a trail that goes right where he walked, like a game trail. I don't think he is in there. I think he's in here. The first thing to look for is water. A creek bottom, a drainage that's got melted snow in, a flowing river, some sort of water. So then after we find water, we're looking for things that bears are going to feed when they come out of the den. Mostly bright green grass or patches of green grass. These bears have spent months in hibernation, and they have a plug built up in their digestive system that needs to be passed, and that can only happen after they've browsed on green grass and glacier lilies and things that are easy to digest and kind of get things moving again. Anything else comes after they've already foraged on that green grass and flowers. Bears are exactly where they are.
You're gonna learn something today, folks.
Come take some bear hunting advice from a guy who spent $1,200 on Montana bear tags and never shot one. But we have a hell of a lot of fun doing it. Maybe it's hopeless optimism, but I really think we're going to shoot one in here. Maybe not in here, but in here. At some time period, at some location, some variable size of bear will probably die at some point in my life. Maybe not this year. So being from Michigan and hunting as much as I can, having a full-time job and a son, when I come out here, I take a little bit more aggressive approach to searching for bears and covering ground than what I think a lot of people do. I think what we should do is go down this thing, come up onto that point so we can look back into that drainage right there where the bear could have came out of yesterday, and then glass back into this whole country on the other side of the gulch. If we don't see anything that looks really good, drop back down, take this knife ridge back up, go down, cross the river, and probably actually go around the point here and come up on that saddle, glass that whole back country that we couldn't see yesterday, and be within 300 yards where the bear was last night. prior to this year, the first 2 years that I bear hunted, we took a little bit more relaxed approach to it, just because that's what you see online. That's what you see on YouTube, is guys going out and setting up this big wall tent on the trailhead and getting up at 8, 9, 10 o'clock, fishing, kind of relaxing. We took that same approach the first 2 years and just didn't have the success. So this year I kind of decided that we're going to push hard. It's a lot of hiking, but we got up here really early and we got time to kind of look at some different country, I think, before we go camp on that bear that we saw yesterday. I have a terrible curiosity to what I can see from that point. And sometimes that's been the difference of shooting something or not, and other times I've gotten up to that point and looked back and there was an elk right where I came from. So it is what it is. So I'm thinking we either dive back down, get into the bottom of this gully, either shoot up this spine. It's all cliffed out on this side here, so we'd have to shoot straight up this, which is great for the wind if he is held up in that timber. But if he's not in there, if we can get up in glass and really pick that apart, either tailor back up to this ridge and work that around into that saddle where he was yesterday, or we shoot straight down, take the creek down, come up with the wind in our face, and get up on that knob, look from this side with the wind going straight down the canyon. I almost think that's a better option. The problem with it though is there's so many little rock outcroppings that turn into these caves that they go 50 feet back in right on the creek bottom. You could be in any one of those right now just waiting to pop out. So there's no safe bet. That's the problem with this stuff, is it's like you could be in that pocket right there, living in that little brushy thicket. You could be in one of these caves, you could be kind of anywhere. So you can't really count anything out. The nice thing about starting at 5 o'clock in the morning when most people don't go bear hunting right away is you get to look at it all before prime time and really kind of put an idea of what they might do. I mean, it's only 9 o'clock. We came up with a little game plan. What we're going to do is drop straight down the cliffs, come back up those cliffs, get up on this knife ridge, and spend probably an hour just glassing in that little timber pocket. It should be open enough that we'll be able to see into it, and keeping the wind in our face the whole time, get up onto this next little knob here, which will be directly above where that bear crossed yesterday. But in addition, we should be able to see down into this canyon and into all these little finger ridges that touch into that river. So I don't know, it's a weird spot just because it's got so many little finger ridges that cut out. So if you move 50 yards, you see country that you can't see from where you're standing right now. The thermals will switch tonight, so we'll have a bad wind coming down this draw for a second. But everything in this direction across the basin is going to be really good. Everything down here we should be covered on. Everything down into this knife ridge should be good. I think it's a good spot. We decided to continue west on that same ridge that we were initially glassing on and start looking into those cliffs. Bears will hang out in cliffs a lot, and they'll flip rocks looking for grubs and feed in little patches of green in those cliffs. As we worked our way west, it continued to get cliffier and cliffier, which was an adventure in itself, trying to navigate a way to get down safely and then again back up to get on the other side. It looks like you can get through there, but as soon as you get down into that crevice, it's a 8-10 foot drop. So gotta find another way. We're almost there. It's just this last little cliffy bit is killing us. One thing that we kept in mind every time that we crossed a valley or got down into the creek bottoms is once we're down there, our wind is going to stay down there a little bit. It's going to swirl in that bottom and potentially blow bears out if they come across our wind. So we waited for opportune times when the thermals were switching and drawing out of those bottoms that we could cross them without leaving a big pile of scent right in those bottoms. It's similar to elk hunting or any western hunting. You're just playing the wind with your movements and you're kind of timing those for what the thermals are doing. So we just made it down these cliffs. It took us a little bit of navigating to find our way through there, but we made it across the creek. Now we're going to shoot up this thing here, which It looks nasty right away, but I think it's gonna clear out once we get up into this burn. We're gonna run right up this knife ridge, get right above where that bear came out yesterday, and glass down to where I think he came from. Once we're up there, we have a vantage point of a ton of area around us that we can't see from where we were at yesterday. We'll be able to see back into all this canyon, into that green, and there's not a road for a long ways. I think both road hunters are missing a lot of what we're going to be seeing tonight. We followed this knife ridge all the way to that point, and once we got up onto that point, I could see clear down into this canyon here, which was really kind of some brushy timber that looked pretty good for bears. But then I looked back the other direction, and all the way into the creek bottom that we just crossed, 1.5 miles back that way in the same drain, I saw a little black spot and a little green patch. And before I even put glass on, I knew it was a bear. It's 1:30. We got up here. There's a chocolate bear 1.5 miles down in this drainage, but we got a spine that runs right to him, so we're gonna move. Like, move. The difficult part that we had is we had 1.5 miles of nasty country between us and him. We did have a knife ridge that went basically right at him. However, there's cliffs, there's shale, there's deadfall everywhere on that knife ridge. It was just a nasty 1.5 miles. I pulled my gun off my pack probably too early. So I'm running through deadfall and shale with a 14-pound gun. We finally got to a spot where I thought we could get a shot at him, which was 673 yards. Got down on the gun, spun the turret, got everything as good as I could. I go to lay down and I just cramp up and my legs stuck up like this, and it was just a circus. Muscled through that a little bit. Matt got on the bear with the camera and we squeezed off a shot. Right as I squeezed off the shot, I could see the vapor trail and it just went right over top of his back. And just kind of looks around and starts feeding again like nothing happened. So I'm like, holy cow, I'm gonna get another chance. I look at the situation and kind of calm down a little bit and say, he's in a spot that I can get really close now. Time to calm down. That bear's not going anywhere, but the devil on this side of the shoulder is telling me, you idiot, push over to that bear and get him killed now. And he spoke louder to me, so I kept running. Look at him. I'm sorry. 3 years into it. You got a boar. Holy hell, buddy. Thank you, Mr. Bear. I don't believe it. What a wild day. So Matt and I got here last night late, got up on the ridge and glassed a chocolate colored bear, and he was way over on the other end of us. Couldn't make a play on him that night, but we caught up with him today, made a big ass loop, and here's the reward. This is my first bear. It is not the biggest bear in the world, but it's certainly not a bad Montana bear. Beautiful chocolate. I couldn't be happier right now. This has been kind of a weird thing for me, where I've came to Montana 3 years in a row. My first Montana hunt was for bear. Met some new friends, with them on that hunt. I can't even talk right now. And I've gone, this is my 3rd year without getting a shot at a bear, and here he is. Man, they're such a cool animal. I don't believe it. Thank you, buddy. Glad you were here for it. I don't believe it.
The curse is canceled.
The curse is over. Unreal. It's still, it's not a big bear, but to be honest with you, it's bigger than I thought it was. It's probably, I don't know. It's bigger than I thought.
I don't think it's a bad bear at all, dude. Ah.
It's so fucking cool.